Paul, I want to touch on a couple of things that you have written. We are going to mention Fuel and the Flame here in a moment, again, if we can. But there's a free ebook that you've put together, and this might be timely. I think it would be for our college, church-based and campus-based collegiate workers, just called Do More with Less Time. I think that I need to read that, bro. I need to read it again. Inject it into my veins or something, The 2020 will always be remembered as the year of the pandemic. I'm hoping it won't be the 2 years of the pandemic, right? Yes. 21, but I haven't done that great personally. It hasn't been a super well managed 5 or 6, 7 months for me, if I had to really be honest. And so I think this is a topic that a lot of our listeners could benefit from. Why did you write that? And give us a taste, maybe a tip or two on our podcast that could be helpful to our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, that's because I wrote that. It's been a long process. I'm not a naturally disciplined person. I'm not naturally good at time management. So I had to learn. I had to learn how to be disciplined and effective in time management. And so resources like that book, and the good thing about that book is it's super short. You can read it in less than an hour, and it's free. So the price is right. You get what you pay for. Don't expect too much there. But what I've learned, it's principles I've learned over the last 11 years of leading our ministry. And I have a unique challenge. My wife actually has a really bad back. When she had our son Owen 9 years ago, her hips went out of joint, and she's stuck in her chair almost 24/7. And so, especially in those early years where the kids were really young, I had to manage a growing ministry, and I was doing things on the side, working with Steve, doing these other projects, and I had to change diapers and serve my wife and help make sure we had food to eat, and a lot of the things that she would have loved to be a part of. And so I had to learn kind of the hard way about a lot of these principles. And one of them is so simple, but it's delegation. The delegation, it's a Dawson Trotman quote, never do anything of importance that others can and will do when there's so much of importance that others cannot or will not do.
Wow, that's good.
So if you are a director of a ministry, only do what you can do. Only do what you have to do, and discipline yourself actually to work yourself out of a job from every single responsibility you have.
That's good. That's good.
And that's something that over the years I've done that, where our ministry is humming along. We're seeing students come to Christ like crazy. And I have staff. Now I have associate directors. I have people that are doing all the different tasks, they're gifted in those areas. They thrive in those areas. And now I have time to be on this podcast with you, and, so that's the thing. I think delegation, I think people assume that, and they kind of assume that they're doing well with delegation, but I think that's something you can always grow in. You can always, so literally make it a goal that you do nothing and not so you can sit around but so the more I've delegated, the more I've freed up my time, the more opportunities that God has brought my way for bigger impact and for other things that God has put in my lap. And then there's some things that I can't delegate. And one of those things, actually, it's one of the chapters. The only thing you can't delegate is your prayer life. Okay, you're the leader of this ministry, and you have to labor in prayer. I feel like a burden and responsibility before God to pray for all my student leaders, all my staff. And I try to pray for them every day. I kind of lift them up, and I'm not perfect at it. But that's something I felt like the Lord's put on my heart. Yes, delegate everything, but do not delegate prayer, because you stand before God for your relationship with God. And then also kind of you have a responsibility to intercede on behalf of those that you're leading. 1 Samuel 12:26 or 24, I believe, it says, he said, "Far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord and fail to pray for you." And so it may even be a sin if you're not praying. So that's just a couple principles from that book, but there's a whole whole bunch more in there.
Yeah, and I think we need to do a session, an episode at some point in the future of how do you delegate responsibilities to staff and students, and what responsibilities do you delegate, and who do you delegate those to, and what attitude? I think that you can people sense that you're either dumping stuff on them and they resent you.
Dumping is what.
Or that you're taking every responsibility and you're actually giving it to individuals to develop them, to grow them, that you're doing them a huge favor, and that they will forever appreciate you for giving them those responsibilities, because you view it not as dumping, but as developing them. And so that the attitude of the leader can make all the difference there when it comes to delegation, right?